What up, y'all? I'm gonna give my predictions on UFC 247, Jones versus Reyes. Uh, this one's gonna be a little bit of a shorter video. The fights I want to focus on were just the co-main and main event. Um, so I'll go ahead and start with Shevchenko versus Chikogian. I think that's how you say it. So, women's flyweight division. It's relatively new, but I mean, even saying that, Valentina's been a dominant champion, and she's been a dominant champion. And even though she came out kickboxing, uh she's pretty much good everywhere as a fighter. Good. She's been able to take at this weight. She's been able to take everyone down, even when she fought Joanna. Um, Obviously, good striking. Throws all kinds of stuff. the 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 body kicks on Jessica Eye, those were powerful body kicks that set up the head kick. It was world class, but at the same time, I mean, it was world class. Uh, Chikagian, she seems more of a striker, but uh, it looks like by the way she fights, it looks like she has more of a karate base, I guess, or at least how she stands anyway. Again, in the fight with Liz Carmouche, she was very susceptible to the leg kicks in that fight. She's very susceptible to the leg kicks in that fight, and she's a she's more or less she was able to get taken down at will. But then again, Liz Carmouche, she's strong. She was strong as hell against most of the fighters in that division. I think that was back when Goldie was commentator, so that was like bantamweight, women's bantamweight. So she she wasn't like the strongest wrestler in that division. She's probably the strongest, if not one of the strongest one of the strongest at flyweight, because you have to put Valentina in that category too. So, and she's been able to take down most of her opponents in any weight class. As far as I see that fight going, I I can see it going the way most people see it going. See Valentina winning that fight. I think I think she's more skilled everywhere. And that's not a shock to people. Most people think she's gonna win that fight. I think it could be if it. I think she can finish the fight on the feet or especially on the ground. If on the feet, I could see. I don't. I think it's possible that she can win on the feet, like you know, similar to the Jessica I fight. She might get a head kick knockout or something, or a TKO. Um, from from a kick is how I would see that if she does get a knockout. Uh, I would think what's more likely is a submission victory in that fight. I think she'll be able to take her down at will. she'll slice through her guard with her pressure, and even though she got in the Jessica I fight, she got a swept at the end of the first round when she went for the Americana, but still, I mean, you could tell she lives for this, considering the improvements she's made since she came in to MMA, particularly the UFC. She's really a student of the game in all aspects. So um, if I had to pick a round, if I had to make a well, I am making a prediction. So if I had to think, I guess she would. It'd be a like a. I would think what's more likely the outcome would be like a key lock submission. Either Americana, Kimura, something like that in the second round. So otherwise, I think she wins a decision. I don't. I think it on if the as the fight stays on the feet, I think it's more likely that she wins on points. She just every time Chikagian comes in, she counters her with something spinning shit. So I just see Shevchenko winning that fight. In the main event, Jones versus Reyes. A lot of people think it's just gonna be another victory for Jones, but you know, I know the Weasel's been saying as of late that Jones has been having more trouble with these newer prospects and these newer contenders, and you can see it for sure. Like you could see it for sure, like the Thiago Santos fight. That fight probably would have gone a little differently if Thiago didn't injure his leg, but you know, I don't know if he already had that injury, if that's something he was dealing with his whole career, or if he injured it during training camp or whatever. I didn't see any interviews or anything after the fight. I just watched the fight, when it happened. So, and Reyes on paper is probably the one of the tougher matchups Jones can have. Very good. He has very good footwork. He he can hit people with that left hand pretty much from anywhere. But the thing about Jones is his defense. It's not that he's keeping you at the end of his reach. He's keeping you at the end. It's like he's measuring the end of your reach with the full extension of his reach. So he's keeping on the outside or whatever. But he had problems with Gustafsson in their first fight. Obviously, he dominated him in the second fight. And the way that he dominated him, he took away Gustafsson's strongest asset against most of the division, which was his footwork. When he took that away from him, Gustafsson couldn't really do anything. Then he he would change levels on him to see if he, you know, to see his reactions to the takedown or whatever. And he more or less made him think it was going to be a striking affair. And then in, I think it was the third round, he finally got the takedown and just smashed him. So, and the problems Reyes had with Uzdemir, I mean, it what it really showed was a difference in experience between the two. But but what Jones has that Jones has more experience than either one of those fighters. So I think what's likely to happen, I think it's going to be, as far as who I think is going to win, I think Jones is going to win. It, I think he's going to come in with a game plan similar to the one that he had for Gustafson. Uh, I think he's going to stay on the back foot and measure for calf kicks and take a lot of the footwork away from Reyes. That's his plan anyway. I would say Reyes, he needs, if if he's coming forward, if he has the center of the octagon, I would say he needs to throw low kicks and high kicks at first to keep Jones on the defensive on the feet, and then maybe he can measure with his left. Maybe he can measure with the lead hand, look for angles, cut, step and pivot, and whenever Jones is unorthodox, and look for an opening for the left hand. But I see it being similar to that second fight Jones had with Gustafson. I don't think it's going to be as easy for Jones. I think Jones is going to have to deal with more. But I think what we're all going to see is it's going to be more apparent that guys are just figuring out Jones's skill set. Like, they're figuring out his skill set, and prospects, contenders are getting closer and closer to putting Jones in more dangerous situations. So, I don't. The longer Jones stays in, the more likely you're going to see someone dethrone him. But I see that fight probably going the distance. I think once Reyes' footwork is taken from him, he's not gonna know what much to do, and I think Jones is gonna just outpoint him throughout the fight. I see him getting the decision. That's how I see. That's how I see that fight going, and that's how I see both fights going. I can't wait to watch it, man. Uh, I usually work on Saturdays, so I'll be watching them Sunday night. There's a lot more fights. Some pretty interesting fights on there, like Derek Lewis versus Alir Latifi. I think that's going to be his Latifi's first fight at heavyweight. That'd be interesting to see, especially against Derek Lewis. That fight's got fireworks written all over it. Uh, Anyways, I hope you all enjoy the fights Saturday night. And I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.